There we go. Streamers.
Yes.
I believe the stream is up and running again.
Testing.
Yeah, the stream works, but can we just confirm that the hour and 3 minutes is not actually an hour and 3 minutes? Wait, that's not even an hour. That's a day. A day and 3 hours. So, when do we know when practice is over? Okay. It appears we are advancing sessions. Alright, so I believe we are now going to be swiftly moving on to the qualifier aspect, the qualifier session of this event. Yes, we are. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, for whoever is with us at this time, we are now swiftly moving on to the qualifier aspect of this first semi-final here at here in the world of iRacing. We're at the Circuit de Navarra, personal favorite of mine personally. This first sector of the Navarra circuit is always a tricky section because you have your first right kink. It's a flat-out right kink, and then you need to understand when you need to apply brake pressure going into the first real heavy braking point of this circuit. I will just like to follow on board with the first car up the road, see what a lap around this Navarra circuit looks like. So we'll be riding on board for the time being with, let's try and ride on board with the car furthest up the road to see who finishes the lap first, which will be car number 7. I believe that is Marcus Watson. So yes, Marcus Watson tackling his way through his outlap, coming to a sharp second gear hairpin. These Formula 4 cars rarely ever drop down into first gear, but we can see him lining up in a wider entry. Nope, it's a pretty narrow entry through the final hairpin. So here we go, Nevan. We're gonna walk on board or drive on board with Marcus Watson for this Navarra lap. So as he goes down the main straight, he's up the gears into 5th gear through what should be a flat out right kink. Where is his braking point? It's before the next right kink. He's down the gears into 2nd gear. Hug that inside curb as close to the curb as he can. Now, full commitment, no lifts through here. This next corner is an almost never-ending left-hander, which tightens up into a form of a shallow hairpin, you could say. Now the gears into 3rd gear.
Let the car slide out wide a bit. Just
on
there.
the limit, just leaving it within track limits, not touching the grass. Somewhat riding that sausage curb, but in 2nd gear, surprisingly. I suppose that is the most ideal gearing to be on for this the lap. Where does he pick his braking point? It's around the 75-meter mark. Perfectly through that corner in second gear. Not afraid to drop down the gears into a low gear to get as much RPM out of the corner. Really riding the inside curve there on the exit now. Back into third gear. A 90 left. Not running too wide on the exit. With a heavy braking into yet another hairpin. Oh, back is all squirrely on the exit, but it's looking like a good lap from Marcus Watson as he heads into the kink left and then through to the final hairpin. Keeps the line narrow, but you can see that his exit is somewhat squirrely as a result of that narrow line. Now up the gears. It looks like it was a legal lap. We shall soon see what that lap time was. It's a 141.273.
I think we saw a spin there briefly.
It might have been a brief spin. He might have saved it though, but at the moment Sota Muto has gone quicker than Marcus Watson, and by some margin it's a whole 1.2 seconds quicker. Sota Muto at the moment looking like the man to watch.
Well, of course, Thiago, all our viewers out there, everyone, since this is open wheelers, these cars don't have traction, nor do they have ABS. Am I right there, Thiago?
You are 100% right. So it appears that we are riding on board with Marcus Watson, but that should not be possible as he has already completed a lap. So car number 32, that's actually Abdullah Ayaz, if I'm not mistaken. Abdullah Ayaz has not been able to punch in a legal lap. However, now we are running on board with Sungming Su. And back swiftly on board with car number 9. We do not have that. Oh, this is the Hanaranga. I can spot the Sri Lankan livery on the car of the Hanaranga. Coming off a pretty good day at AC yesterday. Unlucky with a jump start in the final race, but he was able to finish P6 or P7 in the final.
There you have it.
But now through the final corner, what can the Hanaranga set? We have lost visuals on all the cars for some reason.
The session has ended. So it appears that only the top 6 have managed to set a legal lap time, if I'm not mistaken, which leaves the bottom 4 lap timeless.
But Nevan, I could have sworn there was still time left in the session for lap times.
I don't believe there is a iRacing cooldown here.
Hey, I see. Okay, well, this was slightly concerning. Sorry to all the viewers, but that was a little bit concerning. Okay, so we've been told that there were only 4 valid laps allowed through qualifying, and I presume due to such a short duration that would have also included the out laps, etc. So, yeah.
You see.
Swiftly moving on. So, Neman, take us through our starting grid.
Well, of course, we got Sota Muto lining up in P1. Are we heading to a race?
I hate to break you. I hate to cut you off, but we are about to start this race. So, it's a green flag. The race is underway, and Marcus Watson slots in right behind, right in the slipstream of Sota Muto. Where will he place his car running up into the first right kink and into the heavy braking point? Oh, there's cars running wide to avoid contact. They need to avoid locking up into cars in front, and they've actually done a very good job of it. But Marcus Watson seems to be losing ground to the car behind. That is Saishua Sankaran trying to make a move on Marcus Watson, going into the long left and never-ending left-handers. But it seems like for the time being, everyone has got away with things unscathed. And yes, it looks to me that Sota Muto has gotten away with the start. Oh, everyone's running wide though. You can see Marcus Watson heading onto the grass. But so far, so good in terms of cleanliness. There's one slow car at the back of the grid. I believe that might be, I believe that might have been Sungming Su.
It is Thiago. Well, all the cars have filtered out right now, and it seems like they are all maintaining their ground right now because it is the start of the race. It is a 20-minute race ahead of them. Unlike the GT3 cars, these cars are way more demanding to drive, what with the lack of ABS, the anti-lock braking system, and the lack of TC. But Navara, being the technical track that it is, I'm sure we'll be able to see some very precise driving here. And unlike AC, once again, one tiny slip up could result, who knows, in a flat spot. Oh, and we have a spin in the back. Who was that,
Oh,
Thiago?
I believe that might have been, was that Abdullah Ayaz at the very back of the grid? It might have been Abdullah Ayaz. It was. It was Abdullah Ayaz, the man we witnessed making a comeback in the AC run yesterday, and that is Tehan Iranga going very, very wide on entry into the first real breaking point of the circuit. Tehan Iranga seems to be slightly struggling at the moment, but out, and we'll see if he can make a move down the inside here. He's having a look down the inside of the number 47 of Yangqing Lu. It's still
Looks like Tehan went for a tighter line. Here he goes.
He's going for it. He's going for it down the inside. Will he make the block
he's
pass
forced the
work?
lockup.
He has. He has done just that, and Tehan Iranga is through into P6. But once again, here comes the slipstream battle with Yang Cheng Lu trying to make a move again. Will they make it through the hairpin unscathed? Yep, they make it through, and that is a successful move for Tehan Iranga. And I believe Ahmed Naim, Amirul Naim is trying to make a move as well. He gets shuffled wide in the background. So Amirul Naim trying to improve from his 8th position. Stays there for the time being.
Well, of course, the fights going on right now, these cars are way more difficult to follow through corners, naturally. They're formula cars. So all the downforce generated is causing all that dirty air, making it very difficult to follow the cars through corners. But with these cars fighting with each other, they are losing ground to each other. So right now, Tehan has fallen behind the battle for 4th place right now with Sai Shiva my apologies, Sai Shiva Sankaran. And Tehan has a lot of work to do now, but with Yen Cheng Lu breathing down his neck, will he make that ground up, Thiago?
I believe anything's possible. We're still yet to see the outright pace of these drivers, but Sutamoto, sorry, my apologies, Sotamuto, currently the only man in the 39s for this race so far, but we can see a wide moment there for Saishiwa Sankaran, or should I actually say that is Paco Wong going wide. The man currently in P3, evidently feeling the pressure from Saishiwa Sankaran behind. That's just the thing here. It's so easy to make even the slightest lockup in these cars under braking, as from personal experience, I felt you can't add 100% brake pressure in one go when tackling these cars, as that will just induce a guaranteed lockup. So these drivers really need to be on the edge of their seats with regards to throttle and brake inputs, as throttling is obviously a matter of adjusting your oversteer to the needs of the exit of your corner, whereas braking really dictates just how much speed you can carry out of your corner, because a lockup is basically going to ruin not only your line but also your entry and exit speed. You're going to be entering that corner way too fast. And in a situation like the start of the race, with all these drivers so closely packed and in a slipstream battle on this main straight especially, a simple lockup is going to result in front to rear contact, and with the way the iRacing damage model works, that could very easily be a front wing or rear wing collapse at that point.
And of course, we see Tehan Iranga has now broken away from the pack behind. And look at the leaderboard, folks. Amirul Naim made an overtake on Yang Cheng Liu. But now, Tehan breaking away from that pack, settling in a little bit of clean air. Potential chance to actually gain up on Dmitry Kapanev.
And so we see at the front of the grid, Sota Mudo has somewhat run away with this. The gap is now 3.4 seconds at the front, but we can see that Paco Wong is keeping Marcus Watson in close tabs. He is not letting the New Zealander run away with things here. Marcus Watson really using the full allowance of track limits, but there is still a fight further behind as well. We have a fight between Dmitry Kofanov and now Saishua Sankaran, as Saishua Sankaran went from attacking the P3 man to now having to defend his fourth place to the P5 man.
This is all benefiting one man chasing them down, and that's Tehan Eranga. The fight between Sankaran and Kofanov is definitely bringing Tehan back into the fight for P4. And of course, Pak Ho Wong, like you said, Thiago, keeping Marcus Watson on his toes right now. Is he going to force a mistake from Marcus Watson? Doesn't seem like it because Marcus Watson is keeping his cool. Oh my goodness, and there it is. There's a spin
There
from
is a
Marcus Watson.
big spin. But what a
Oh my
save
goodness.
from Marcus Watson. That must have been a hot and out moment. And it's not over yet. His tires must be overheating right now, and he's having to deal with the chasing pack behind us. We can see him running wide once again and having to block off a move from Saishua Sankaran. Saishua Sankaran has got past Marcus Watson and will try his luck against Dmitry Kofanov as well. Dmitry Kofanov, should I actually say, has jumped the pair of them, but has now slotted back into P4. And now Marcus Watson will look to take back the places he has lost. He's gone from P2 all the way down to P5 in the space of half a sector on this circuit. Just as
And
you
I
said it,
fear,
Nevan.
Thiago, the commentator's curse is real. So
Oh,
apologies
yeah.
there to Marcus Watson
The
and the New
phenomenal
Zealand team there.
That is some phenomenal insight, though. It's just as you said. He's forced the error. He's forced Marcus Watson to just apply the power just a little bit too early and with just a little bit too much force. And it's cost him dear, but it must be said, Marcus Watson with a brilliant save to not result in that car spinning around completely and facing the wrong direction. And now, can he keep his head in place? Can he now apply the power effectively and force a slipstream battle here? He is going to force Dmitry Kofanov to get into the slipstream of Saishua Sankaran, and he will try to potentially make back a move in the corner which he lost 3 positions.
Marcus Watson with a lot of work now left to chase up in the very corner that he spun right here. Like you said, Thiago, this being the more technical section of the track, it demands a lot of attention and a lot of focus here. And unfortunately, Pak Ho Wong got into the head of Marcus Watson, as it may seem, as we're looking for a move on Dmitry Kofanov, making a move on Sankaram here. And is he going to force a mistake? It seems as if he's forced a slight wide line there, but most of the cars retain their composure here. And really, this enables Pak Ho Wong to just run away with the silver medal as of right now to advance to the finals. And who else is being helped here? Tehan Eranga, who is slowly but surely catching up to the pack here of Marcus Watson, Dmitry Kofanov, and Sai Shiva Sankaran. Can we see these 3 drivers, as we're seeing Marcus Watson get a little too close there to Dimitri there? But personally, I think we could see a move here, Thiago. Marcus Watson's going to make a move here. And I think he's just pressuring them for now.
I believe it is coming. He is utilizing the maximum of the allowed track limits once again. We don't know if that was just creeping beyond track limits, but we shall soon find out as once again you can see almost 3 different line entries for that final corner, but who gets the optimal exit? It looks like everybody has just managed to create a small gap between each of them. It is maybe 0.3, it's 0.3 between each of them, and that might just be enough to retain their respective positions going into this heavy braking point, unless someone was to fully send a move, which no one has at the moment. But who can make this move? It's clear that Marcus Watson has the outright pace over the 2 cars in front of him. Of, I believe, the 2 teammates, in front of him at the moment are definitely looking to finish ahead of the other, but with caution. And one other thing to note, Nevan, is I believe once again it is top 5 finishes off this race qualify for the grand finals. These boys are fighting for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So one mess up from one of these drivers could mean a denial of entry for the grand finals if they were to lose a place to the charging Tehaneranga and Emerald 9 behind.
Of course, the gap is very fine between these three cars right now. It's a battle for third place, but I think they're just looking at the grander picture here. As of right now, third, fourth, and fifth, these three drivers are have qualified for the grand final. But as you see a move, a little look there from Dmitry Kofanov there on Sai Shiva Sankaran there, a little move, but they are most certainly not looking at the grander scale, it seems, as they're looking to fight each other for the glory of finishing in third place. Brakes glowing away as they head into the straight. Like you said, Thiago, it's all these little bits that make the difference. But it seems that each driver is doing just enough to stay ahead of each other. Are we going to see a late
It's two
move,
tenths now.
possibly a few tenths,
It is.
maybe a late
It
move?
is 2 tenths. I believe the golden. Oh, it's a heavy braking point. Marcus Watson's having to go. Oh,
On the
is this going to be
inside,
contact? Will this be contact between
contact.
the two teammates? Oh,
There's
it was very
contact, and
close.
here comes Marcus Watson on the inside.
He is through. He's got through, but now he's been blocked off by Saishwa Sankaran in front, but he still manages to get past Dmitry Kofanov. And Marcus Watson is into fourth, and now he is in a sandwich. What will he be able to do here? Can he claw his way back up into the podium spots he was in before his spin?
Well, now, Thiago, what we have here is either the team game or the personal game. So, is his teammate going to hold up Marcus Watson as he goes for a really brave move on the inside? Marcus Watson from New
He's done it.
Zealand
He has
sends
done
it,
it.
and he
He has
reclaims
made it
third
work.
place.
Once again, we are presuming. Oh, our apologies. This is the base livery. I was just about to say we are presuming these are teammates, but they are most certainly not teammates. That is just the base livery that comes with this APMC F4 championship. So, yes, that would essentially make sense as to why there was so much wheel-to-wheel contact in the entire first sector. But the bottom line is Marcus Watson is back into his podium spot. He was in second place in this race not too long ago, but now at least he has managed to claw his way back up into P3. And now we have Dmitry Kofanov once again looking to get into the slipstream of Sai Shiva Sankaran. He is right there. He is under 2 tenths behind him. Will he go for a move into the braking zone?
Oh, there's a mistake!
Spin! It is a big spin. Will he make contact? He has. Oh, that is highly unfortunate.
Oh,
and
dear.
there's even more contact for
Oh,
Tehaneranga.
no.
Oh,
There is chaos.
Very big contact for Tehaneranga as well, who was trying to avoid it. And we've seen, I believe that was that Saishwa Sankaran who has gone back into the pits. It is. Oh, that is very unfortunate for Tehaneranga. He was so close to making it into a grand final position, but now the tides have changed, and it's Amirul Naim. Neman, what was I saying before a couple minutes ago when I was saying that all it takes is one incident for one of these drivers and it would open the door for Tehaneranga and Amirul Naim? And unfortunately for Tehaneranga, it has resulted in him collecting damage as well, and he is in the pits as well. Oh, this is very unfortunate for the Sri Lankan driver.
This is really tragic for Tehaneranga here. Like we said earlier, guys, folks, the car's way more damage prone compared to the GT3s we had yesterday. These cars rely solely on lightweight racing, and of course, one small collision could spell the difference between a grand final appearance and, of course, the win. But our man from Brunei, Amirul Naim, is currently in P5 and sitting in a qualification zone, sitting in the qualification zone for the grand final. Unfortunately, Sai Shiva Sankaran and Tehaneranga being on the bad side of that whole incident, unfortunately going to the pits.
Okay, we've been told that Marcus Watson is actually from New Zealand, but this weekend he will be He is representing the Australian ASN, so our apologies. But at the moment, Marcus Watson has cleared 4th place and 5th place at the moment. He is now 7 or 8 seconds ahead of Dmitry Kofanov. So yeah, after quite a bit of action, it's clear that Dmitry Kofanov definitely has some forms of damage. The car is squirreling everywhere, and Amirul Naim, who did not necessarily have the pace to really be challenging Dmitry Kovanov. He is now right there in the wheel tracks of the 4th place man. Can he do one better? He knows that this is enough for him to qualify for the grand final spot, but does he want to go for more?
Realistically, Thiago, who wouldn't? I mean, even though you've qualified for the grand final, always gaining that one more position could give you a major confidence boost here. And right now, Amirul Naim from Brunei is doing insanely well to keep up with Dimitri Kopanov here, as they both run into a little bit of traffic, it seems.
Mhm.
Or are they racing there, Thiago? Have I mixed it up?
I believe that is a lapped car. Yes, that might be Saishwa Sankaran coming out of the pits after getting his damage repaired.
Maybe right on board Amirul Naim here to see how he's tackling these corners, trying to catch up to Dimitri Kopanov. I would just like to see how Amirul Naim is tackling the dirty air following off of Dimitri Kopanov here.
Doesn't look like he was
Doesn't
close
look
enough
like he
this
can
time
handle it.
around. I believe the gap, the golden gap, might be under 0.3 tenths of a second, basically under 3/10 of a second down that straight. Because when we saw Marcus Watson 2/10 behind the car in front, that was when he was able to make the all-important move. I believe Rule 9 needs to basically look to accomplish the same feat, be within 3/10 of Dmitry Kofanov in front. This is at the moment the closest battle on track, but we do have a battle between Yang Chenglu and Abdullah Ayaz behind as well. But let's just stick on board with this battle. 4/10 between Amrul Naim and Dmitry Kofanov. Man from Brunei is hustling Kofanov the entire way through.
Part of iRacing's challenges is how these drivers, like I've said multiple times before, how can they overcome the dirty air here? As we see a
Oh,
move.
there's the move.
Who
Is
was
that
that?
just?
Oh,
That might just be overtaking the lapped cars. So that was
Yang Chen
like
Lu
very,
giving us a little bit of racing action
yeah.
against lap cars there.
It's exactly what we love to see. Some form of racing action. Is all these drivers are just so good. They're all just so closely matched. Too closely matched at this point. I believe one thing we could do to potentially improve this is add some DRS to these F4 cars. Obviously not possible, but imagine the potential DRS battles we would have around a circuit like Navarra with such long main straights and even back straights at that.
And of
Amirul
course,
Naim,
Navarro giving. My apologies, Thiago, continue.
Amirul Naim, I was just gonna say Amirul Naim, most certainly, he would most dearly love a little bit of cheeky DRS for this main straight as he's getting close enough, but not. Oh, we had a spin.
Oh, we see
Oh,
a spin.
It's Abdullah Ayaz. Oh, the man who was fighting to try and catch up to Yang Cheng Liu has had a spin, and oh, it's a bad exit. It's a very bad exit for Dmitry Kofanov, and now, um,
He's
Amrul Naim
gaining.
is very close. Oh, he's had a look. He's trying to force an error from Dmitry Kofanov.
And like we've seen before, very easy to do with these cars.
Yep, we saw Marcus Watson early on in the race have a spin. Will we see something similar from one of these two drivers? Both drivers know that they're qualifying for the grand finals at the moment, barring any potential penalties the two drivers might face, as we do remember that Dmitry Kofanov was involved in the spinning incident with Saishiva Sankaran earlier on in the race. So whether or not that does incur a penalty is yet to be decided. But I believe we are going on to our final lap next lap round. Or
I
we've
think this is
actually
the final lap.
we have actually seen the end of the race as we were too busy focused on these cars. Sota Muto has actually crossed the line and has won the semifinal. We have Paco Wong in P2, making amends and taking up that second place after Marcus Watson finishing off in P3, had his early race spin but has recovered well. And then we see Dmitry
Marcus Watson
Kofanov,
with
he
an
holds
incredible
off.
recovery drive.
Yeah, Dmitry Kofanov holds off Amirul Naim for P5, and that is your top five that will progress to the grand finals. Yang Cheng Liu In P6, Abdullah Ayaz spinning off at the end, but in P7, Saishua Sankaran and Tehanaranga both involved in that incident late in the race and will finish 8th and 9th. And then Sung Ming Su will round off the top 10. And so, Nevan, we will wait for the second semifinal to take place shortly.
And of course, Thiago, before we forget, we have a driver interview, the winner of the race, Tota Muto.
Yes, of course. And Nevan, I will let you take that interview away, as I believe Nevan will be hosting the semifinal or the second semifinal. And Nevan will inevitably be hosting the finals when it gets underway as well. But we will first complete our interview with Sota Muto.
All right, the photo has confirmed that it is going to take some time for the drivers to come out of the cockpits. But Thiago, iRacing in the first semi-final has given us racing action to its absolute fullest. What did you think of that racing action?
I didn't expect anything less from iRacing. Obviously, yesterday in AC, we saw some incidents, but of course, the nature of the cars themselves, you can have some contact and get away with it. But as we've seen from this race, even the slightest misjudgment can result in these open wheelers going off on a tangent, going off on a spin. And when they do go off spinning into other cars, you're bound to see some we're bound to see some significant impact. But now I believe we have a driver for our
Interview.
interview. We have Sota Muto. We
Sota,
have
are you
our
there?
interview.
Hello, Sota. Congratulations on your victory here in the semifinals, and congratulations for progressing to the grand finals. Walk us through your process on that lap one pull away from the grid. What was going through your mind there? All right, and of course, going into the grand final and the semifinal race coming up, the next one, are you going to be keeping your eye out for some potential threats there going into the grand final? Of
Oh, that was
course,
a
of course.
phenomenal run. That was a phenomenal run. Sota, so we will let you cool off and prepare yourself for the grand finals. All the very best for the finals, and we hope to see you afterwards.
Of course. All the very best. Take care.
All right, so Nevan, that was a phenomenal first race to get underway, and I hope to be able to see you in full action with your commentary for the following races, as I believe there will be a 20-minute practice session coming up soon for. So, so yes,
Okay.
so I believe I will be I will be dishing out from the commentary box shortly. So you will now have a solo Nevan Jayawardena in the commentary box, unless someone were to join him in the commentary box. We have, due to the power of the online world, we commentators all the way from Canada and from Belarus, whereas the event is actually taking place live in Sri Lanka. So Nevan will now be following through riding solo for the rest of this iRacing.
And of course,
Hey,
it was a privilege to have you as well, Thiago, by my side for
oh yes.
commentating yesterday's events as well as today's semifinals. It
Mhm.
was great to have your insight as well. And of course, until next time, then.
Yes, and I must thank you for actually keeping me awake for the whole all-nighter.
No, no
All right.
worries.
Well, I hope to see some good racing action for the rest of the championship as well. And may the best man win.
Of course, and ladies and gentlemen, don't forget we have one more semi-final coming up with the next set of drivers progressing into their chances to qualify for the grand final here in the iRacing division of the APMC Motorsport, where the Asia Pacific Motorsport Championship held in Sri Lanka at the Sri Lankan karting circuit Bandaragama at Speed Bay. Of course, none of this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for our sponsors, Next Level Racing, providing the rigs that have been set up at Speed Bay, as well as Chama Computers for providing us with the PCs to run this LAN event. So stay tuned, grab a snack, and we'll see you soon for Semifinal B. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You join us for Semifinal B here, once again at the Nevada circuit. We now have the next set of drivers here on track practicing right now. And of course, if anything is to go off of what we saw previously, we're going to see some action here as well. Unfortunately, we do not have Thiago Pereira with us here. As he said previously, I will be running it solo this time round for the Group D semifinal and the final. But nevertheless, we have another good race ahead of us. So let's see what will happen. All right. Thank you, Savi Ratnaka. We will be starting in 3 to 4 minutes for qualifying. Of course. So let's run you through the driver. Let's run you through the driver order we have here in the semifinal B. We have, if I can just get the entry list up here, we have Taj Ayman, the car number 41. We have Nabil Aslan, car number 40. We have Russell Reyes, number 43. A returning name, Rahul Chakraborty in number 31. Jerick Ko in number 44. Dick in number 34. Shamal Mendes in number 50. Mirazam Yusupov in number 48. And Jiwan Yu in number 45. So, 9 competitors this time as opposed to 10. But of course, only 5 spots left in the grand final after the top 5 of last race. So far, all competitors making sure that they get all the braking points and the setups done right. Well, not setups, but like their track lines, learning the track. Of course, this track, Nevada, being very technical. Here, as you see, Russell Reyes going with the first registered time of the session with a 1 minute 41.438. Excuse me. This track being very technical. Of course, the long straight into a fast, flat out right hander kink, followed by a sharp braking point, going into a long swooping left hand that narrows up at the top of the hill, going into another technical section before we enter the back straight of the Nevada circuit. And of course, the final technical section with a run into turn 3. Okay. We see the Sri Lankan livery there, and I'm sure that was Shyamal Mendes. Of course, we have another register time of Jerick Ko with a 1 minute 43.6, and Mirazam Yusupov setting a 1 minute 45. Now, of course, who knows if the sandbags are still on the car, but naturally before, and we see a little bit of a slide there. Learning the limits of these F4 cars, of course, being very different to the GT3s we had yesterday. As we saw in the previous semi-final that these cars are very dicey to control and of course require way more concentration as compared to the GT3s. These cars, there's no room for error at all. As we see, the end of session and a checkered flag has been waved. And of course, that only means one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Qualifying is going to be going underway shortly. Like last time, this is going to be a solo qualifying. Of course, all the cars are not going to be on track. So let's follow on board the lead car once we see a little icon pop up on the map and take a look at how the lead car tackles this track. And I believe that is the car number 44 of Jerick Ko. If we can ride on board with Jerick Ko here. Oh no, it is not Jericho who is in the lead as of now out of the pits. All right, we are riding on board. Yes, it is UG1 from South Korea. Last race, we followed on board Marcus Watson with Thiago, of course, giving us an excellent analysis of his lap in the Formula 4 car here at the Circuit de Navarra. Of course, it's going to be very interesting to see how G1U tackles this track here. Very crucial laps here, of course. This car being very different to the GT3 car that I said earlier. More downforce, but more room for error as well with the lack of ABS and TC throughout the race. So, it's all up to skill here. Of course, the car is being equalized between all 9 drivers, allowing for very close racing and no room for error. As you see, UG1 there with a very lively back end there of the car there as he tries to send it into the final section. But of course, it is the out lap, so who knows if that has affected his times at all. But now we are on board Nabil Aslan here as he goes to start his flying lap here at Circuit de Navarra. Of course, the long main straight, the run. First right hand into the very sharp from Nabil Aslan there, and of course that is a very taking it very smooth into the shallow and into the net. Sector 3 of the Circuit de Navarra. Of course, the final run up to the final corner, it's make or break here for Russell Reyes as we look to see a very tight line there as he settles down for the main straight. And now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, turn your eyes to the leaderboard there on the top left of your screen as we may see the first time step. Is Russell Reyes with a 1 minute 40.7, followed by Derek Cope with a 1 minute 47. And no, it's Taj Ayman. Taj Ayman, who has gone 140.4, knocking Russell Reyes off the pole sitting spot there. And of course, Jericho following suit with a 141.7, G1U with a 142.433, and Mirazam Yusupov with a 143.4 as he ride on board the Sri Lankan Shamal Mendes here on his run up to the final corner. Where is he going to settle down here in this semi-final B qualifying? Only time will tell as he comes down the main straight to set his lap time. Where is he going to be? We hold our breaths in anticipation, and it doesn't seem as if a time has been set. So unfortunately, folks, I think that means his lap has been invalidated. Unfortunate there for the Sri Lankan. And of course, only 6 people having set their time so far compared to what we saw last session. The bottom 4 failed to set their times as it got invalidated. Is that going to be the case here? With 10 seconds left to go, we see the front runners, of course, having left the pit much earlier. And there's a spin for UG1 as well. Oh dear, that does not look good for the final 4. And yes, like last session, that means 6 cars only set their time, leaving Shamal Mendes in 7th place as we wait to see the lineup. as the fourth ball has conveniently gone on board the pace car, the Porsche pace car here. And we're waiting for the lineup for the race. So unfortunately, the bottom three this time, of course. Remember, there's 9 drivers this time, having failed to set their times as they got invalidated, leaving them to funnel up against the rest of the grid. The top 6 who have set their times, with Taj Imon taking P1, followed by Russell Reyes in P2 and Jerick Ko in P3. Of course, followed by Dick Ing in P4, the number 34, followed by Jiwan Yu in P5 and Mirazam Yusupov in P6. And then, of course, Shyama Mendis in P7, Nabil Aslan in P8, and Rahul Chakraborty in P3 as we wait for the lights to go green and the session to go green.
Green flag, green flag.
We have go. The race is underway as Taj Imon immediately cuts to the inside to try and block off Russell Reyes' charge up to the inside of the first corner. Here comes Jerick Ko as well, coming down the middle of the track. Of course, everyone funnels into order. Where's everyone going to line up here? Russell Reyes looking for the inside. No, as somebody goes wide at the back there. That's Taj Imon taking P1 so far, followed by Russell Reyes. As we see somebody going wide there. Briefly, very briefly, somebody going wide there. It seems as if everybody has funneled in pretty neatly. Of course, very clean getaway as we saw in semi-final A as well. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Semi-final B is underway as you see a slight little look on the inside there with the yellow car. Who is that? That is P5 and P6, pardon me, Jiwan Yu and Nabil Aslan there. Jerick Ko, we're riding on board Jerick Ko right now. Taj Imon taking P1, followed by Russell Reyes. Taj Imon going very defensive, practically weaving down the back straight here of the Circuit de Navarra. Russell Reyes taking P2, followed by Jerick Ko in P3, followed by Dick in P4, G1 U in P5, and Nabil Aslan lining up in P6. Of course, the previous race, we saw, oh, somebody's going a little wide there, somebody's gone wide. It is very difficult to see which car. I'm trying to look at the number here. That is, oh, and there's a lock up there as well. There's contact. And there's people being thrown everywhere here. That's Taj Imon, pardon me, that was the leader. And of course now that's Russell Reyes being challenged by Jerick Ko here. Now Dick Ing is coming into the fight, P4. As you see a look on the inside. Little look on the inside. I'm tripping over my own words here. As there's immense action here going on in semi-final B. Taj Imon has tailed away. Russell Reyes bringing up the rear. And here comes Dick Ing in P4. Is that Nabil Aslan looking for a move on the inside here, going into the fast right-hander? That is a very, very brave move there as he looks to the inside. Nabil Aslan locking in P4 there. And unfortunately, it feels like Dick Ing has fallen down to P5 and is now being pressured by the likes of G1 U in P6. Of course, Russell Reyes bringing up the front of this train with Taj Imon sailing away with a 1.7 second gap to, of course, Russell Reyes there in P2. There's Taj Imon. There's Russell Reyes, there's Jerick Ko and Nabil Aslan in P4. And of course, Dick Ing runs off the grid in P5. So far, your top 5 in the qualifying, in the running for the qualifying to the grand final, of course. Of course, G1 U, Mirazam Yusupov, Rahul Chakraborty and Shyama Mendis, unfortunately, has fallen to the back of the grid there. The Sri Lankan having an abysmal race start there, trying to gain. But of course, 17 minutes to go in the race. A lot can happen, as we saw in semi-final A, alongside the likes of Thiago Pereira commentating the whole race that way. It seems as if so far the drivers have settled in and are now looking for the long game, but of course the same prediction rather, was made last race, and we saw a little fight for P3 with a lot of mistakes as well. So far, Russell Reyes maintaining his cool with the likes of Jerick Ko bringing up the rear, followed by Nabil Aslan there. And Taj Imon looking very comfortable in this race. And everybody seems to be settling in. Taj Imon setting the, my mistake, Nabil Aslan setting the fastest lap of this race of 140.3. So that, folks, is the, oh, and we see a little lock-up there from Jerick Ko. Is that going to bring in Nabil Aslan to the picture here as we see more cars going wide there? Dirty air, lockups, who knows? But anything is possible here with iRacing as well. Track evolution is a thing, folks, as we see Nabil Aslan setting a 140.3 times much faster than that set in qualifying, but of course that could be to very different factors. Maybe track evolution, maybe the slipstream, but who knows? Nabil Aslan being the fastest car on track right now in terms of qualifying time, in terms of race times, but he has two obstacles to go in the likes of Jerick Coe and Russell Reyes. Of course, him being qualifying already, I'm sure he'd want to qualify even more. The Malaysian there looking to get past the Singaporean of Jerick Coe here. So far, it seems as if we have Taj Aiman leading the way in P1 very comfortably with a battle for second place, much like last race, ladies and gentlemen. The battle for second place. Last race, we had a battle for P3. This time, we have a battle for P2. Of course, riding on board Jerick Coe here, we see him just. I would like, ladies and gentlemen, for you guys to focus on the. Okay, never mind. We are going trackside. If the fourth wall could please get us on board Jerick Coe's car there. Oh, as you see a spin in the back there. Who was that? A lot of things happening all at once. My apologies to the race control, but I believe that was Rahul Chakraborty in the background, or Mirasan Yusufov. It's hard to tell with the default liveries, but of course, we're once again riding on board Jerick Coe here. And now Russell Reyes. What has happened there, we do not know, but of course, that is the difficulty in the race directing. So, of course, big thanks to those down in Sri Lanka who's directing this race while I commentate everyone here. Commentate the race all the way over in Belarus. Of course, thanks to the wonders of the digital world, I'm able to be here, and it is a privilege, of course. But we ride on board Nabil Aslan as he's getting very close to Jerick Coe's gearbox there. Looking extremely close. He's going to size up a move down the inside. At the back straight, Jerick Coe going a little defensive. And of course, here he goes. He's looking for the inside. And there's the move by Nabil Aslan going side by side with Jerick Coe there, the Singaporean. But Jerick Coe, phenomenal defense run there from the Singaporean to keep Nabil Aslan, the Malaysian, behind him. Of course, these guys have still qualified for the grand final, but of course, who wouldn't like a little racing action and to claim that last step on the podium? You see, the battle is heating up quite well. Following Jerick Coe here, the man in P3. Oh, there's a mistake from Jerick Coe, and that's going to cost him as Nabil Aslan says, thank you very much, I will take that P3. As Jerick Coe has had a very costly mistake there, locking up into the final corner, a place where you wouldn't want to typically lock up and make a mistake, because that sets up a beautiful run for Nabil Aslan to go into the fast right-hander. But of course, we still have roughly 13 minutes left in this session. It can spell anything, as there's a little lively rear end there of Nabil Aslan as well. Jerick Coe looking at that as an opportunity to come back into the fight here. Of course, a mistake from Nabil Aslan. Riding on board right now with Nabil Aslan, we see as he's trying desperately to gain to Russell Reyes. Russell Reyes going a little wide there, it seems, into the shallow left hairpin, if you will. Ladies and gentlemen, the fight is looking very lively as of right now, because as Taj Aiman sails away, the Malaysian, Russell Reyes, being under pressure by the other Malaysian of Nabil Aslan. Is there going to be a Malaysian 1-2 here? Well, it certainly seems like Nabil Aslan wants to make that a reality. Apart from Nabil Aslan, we see Jerick Coe slightly falling behind to a second gap now. Has he made another mistake there in the background? Brakes blowing away as Nabil Aslan aims to chase after Russell Reyes here. These two drivers fighting for P2 now, with Jerick Coe looking for a mistake from either one of the two drivers in front of him to at least slot into a podium here. Of course, riding on board Nabil Aslan here. All right, the Malaysian teammates in P1 and P3 as of right now, it is looking like a very strong showing from Team Malaysia here. As we know from yesterday's race, Leona Chin having shown us the steps they've taken to come here to Lanka. And of course, that means bringing their racing simulators with them So we saw Nakib Aslan yesterday, the gold medalist winner in the AC division of the eSports championship here. We saw him and the rest of the team having brought their sims here. We saw where that capitalized for Nakib Aslan yesterday in him giving the gold medal. So now we have Taj Ayman and Nabil Aslam here in P1 and P3 respectively. So of course, bringing the simulators down to Sri Lanka, showing absolutely amazing results here in the iRacing and the AC division, of course, for Team Malaysia. But as iRacing switches to, oh, we see a little mistake there. Commentator's curse is real. My apologies to Nabil Aslam there, but of course, fine margins here in iRacing with these F4 cars being very dicey on brakes and on throttle with the lack of ABS and TC as well. Testing true driver skill here as we move into the final 10 minutes of the session. So, ladies and gentlemen, with 10 minutes to go left in the session, your current top 5 who are going to be qualifying for the grand final are Taj Ayman, Russell Reyes, Nabil Aslan, Jericho, and Dick In. Of course, all these drivers doing incredibly well to stay in front of the other drivers in P6, 7, 8, and 9, respectively, of Jiwan Yu, Rahul Chakraborty, Shyama Mendis, and Mirazam Yusupov. As we look that Nabil Aslam has got very close to the likes of Russell Reyes there. Is he going to size up a move? Very close. Less than like 110 separate them here. So are we going to see a move here from Nabil Aslan on Russell Reyes to try and make it a Malaysian 1-2 here at Circuit de Navarra? Keeping it clinical through the final. My apologies. I am tripping over my own words here. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But keeping it clinical through Sector 3 here on the run-up through into the main straight. Just one final left kick into the sharp right-hander into the main straight. Is Nabil Aslan gonna seize a move here? Remember, as Thiago Pereira said earlier, it needs to be at least 3/10 off of the car in front. And it seems as if Nabil Aslan has done just that. And in these open wheel of Formula cars, we know that the slipstream is quite powerful. As you can see, Nabil Aslan has built quite the gap to Jericho there. Is he going to force a mistake? No, he's looking on the inside. Is he going to pressure Russell Reyes into making a mistake here? It seems that isn't the case as Russell Reyes maintains his cool and that P2 of his. Riding on board with Nabil Aslan here. And Russell Reyes, we see him taking that long left-hander and taking the sharp braking into the left and into the right, and another right following. Again, being 3/10 off the car in front should be enough to size up a move as Nabil Aslan literally hugging the back of that gearbox of Russell Reyes, the number 43 car. Nabil Aslan making sure Russell Reyes does not let him out of his sights in the rear view mirror. Russell Reyes keeping a very cool head and maintaining a solid P2 here as he tries to keep back a fighting Malaysian to try and catch up to his teammate in P1, Taj Ayman. A 2.7 second gap. That's the strong lead that Taj Ayman has built against Russell Reyes here. And Jericho haven't falling behind. 2 seconds, nearly 2 seconds to Nabil Aslan up in front. But here we go, another look. Nabil Aslan being 4 seconds behind Russell Reyes this time. But we know how brave he is, or he's trying to force a mistake here. Into the sharp right-hander, we follow Russell Reyes and Nabil Aslan as they keep it incredibly clean. As they go on for another lap, as Nabil Aslan has a small change in line there to try and pressure the likes of... Oh, and we see a mistake from Jericho in the background there. And a little lock up into that right hand, of course. Personally, having raced there, it is very difficult on eSports, on iRacing. Personally, having raced here, it is very difficult to maintain your brake pressure into that right hander, which is why it is crucial to pick your braking points much earlier before having come to that corner. But we still follow the likes of Russell Reyes, having gone defensive now on Nabil Aslan. As here he goes, Nabil Aslan aiming to make a move here on Russell Reyes, and he does. Nabil Aslan has made it a Malaysian 1-2 here in the semi-final B of iRacing APMC. And now the tides have turned, the tides have shifted as Russell Reyes is now aiming to charge Nabil Aslan to reclaim his P2. But as of right now, it is a Malaysian 1-2 for Taj Aiman and Nabil Aslan. Creditable drive there from Nabil Aslan, the Malaysian, number 40, making it a Malaysian 1-2 now. Now we focus on Dick Eng in T5. As you see, G1U, the South Korean, getting incredibly close to T5. Yes, this crucial one. G1U with his fight set on the final position in T5 to qualify for the grand final, of course. Now, in his rearview mirror, South Korean of G1U, Dick Ing has now more worries to consider now. With 4 minutes to go. G1U having dropped from having qualified from the lower qualifiers, fighting for his chance now to make it and beat Dick Ing here. As we saw earlier that Dick Ing had made a mistake, the number 34 car. Of course, everything is crucial for G1U here. Oh no, and as I said, G1U has made a severe mistake there, as he's gone wide in an attempt to try and close up on Dick Ing here. Has that sealed Dick's chance in the finals? Who knows, as we ride on board the Hong Kong driver, as we look to see Jericho making a move on Russell Reyes down the main straight. And what has happened to Russell Reyes here, as Jericho from out of nowhere has fought back and has reclaimed P3 here in this race, but it is far from over as Russell Reyes is still right there on his gearbox. As you see behind Russell Reyes, we see the likes of the Hong Kong driver Dick Ing here, followed by G1U from South Korea. This is a very close race, folks. Jericho reclaiming P3, the Singaporean driver. The Singaporean representing Singapore ASN. Of course, Jericho in P3, followed by Russell Reyes chasing down that podium place. Of course, Russell Reyes not out of the blue because he is still qualified. He has still qualified, but he still wants that podium back. And of course, Dick Ing bringing it back from P5, the Hong Kong driver, keeping the South Korean driver G1U away from him as fast as possible, because I think the only thing going through his mind right now is, when will this race end? And the answer to that is 1 minute 55 seconds to go here in this session. G1U going a little bit wide there. Is there an attempt to try and gain more speed on Dick Ing, the Hong Kong driver? Or is it a mistake? All these mistakes are not what he needs right now, as we are potentially going on to the final lap of the race right now. G1U with his sights set on that final position. It's right there. It's only 1.6 seconds ahead. All it takes is one slip up from the driver in front, and G1U is through, but it seems as if the driver in front in question, Dick Ing from Hong Kong, is maintaining his composure to retain that final position. And of course, we see another fastest lap set by Nabil Aslan in P2 there, a 140.174 there. The Malaysian drivers, the fastest of the pack right now, maintaining their solid 1-2 in the standings here of the semifinals B. The F4 in iRacing at Circuit de Navarra. G1U unfortunately making another slight mistake there, going wide. As we look to the track map on the top right, we see the two Malaysian drivers have built quite the gap to Jericho in P3, the Singaporean driver. But all eyes right now on G1U as he makes one last charge to try and catch up to Dick Ing in P5 and reclaim that top spot to qualify for the grand final. Of course, if you look at the track map now, my apologies, we see that Taj Ayman has rounded the final corner. So of course, and we see is that another issue? Is that Russell Reyes in P5? No, we see Taj Ayman cross the line and Nabil Aslan making it a Malaysian 1-2 here in the F3 race with Jericho from Singapore bringing it home in P4. P3 with Dick Ing bringing it in P4 and Russell Reyes in P5. What has happened to Russell Reyes in P5? We do not know what happened there. As he go and follow Shyamal Mendes, the Sri Lankan driver, finishing it in P7. Unfortunate there for the Sri Lankan driver. And Rahul Chakraborty, the man from Bangladesh, in P8. Our driver from yesterday. And rounding off the grid in P9 is Mirasam Yusupov. Of course, finishing the race. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a very eventful semi-final B. Of course, we have the Malaysian drivers, Taj Ayman and Nabil Aslan in P1 and P2, followed by Jericho in P3, Dick Ing, the Hong Kong driver, P4, and Russell Reyes in P5. What a race that was, ladies and gentlemen. So there is your top 5, the qualified drivers for the grand final of the iRacing division of the APMC. Stay tuned shortly, ladies and gentlemen. We have an interview of Taj Ayman coming soon. Yes. All right. As we have heard from the fourth wall, Taj. Hello, Taj Ayman. Congratulations on your race win here.
Yep.
You have now qualified for the grand final. Tell me what's going through your head right now. You
Oh, yeah.
excited?
Yeah, obviously excited to be here as my first time in APMC. This journey really meant for me. Has been learning from the start here, and thanks for the support as well from KBS, MAM, Rakan Muda, Excel Motorsport, and ASI, which support throughout the journey. So yeah.
Of course, Taj, it's not just you in P1, but your fellow compatriot Nabil Aslan takes P2. How does it feel to have a Malaysian P1 and P2 here in the semi-final B?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, that's our aim. We've been planning from the start, from to be here. We really want to aim to go to the grand final, and we prove it that we could be in the grand final today. And yeah, let's see how it goes in the grand final later.
Of course. And one more question for you, Taj. Yesterday you saw Nakib Aslan take the gold medal in the grand final of Assetto Corsa. Are you looking to make that another gold medal for Team Malaysia?
Yeah, obviously, as that was our aim to be there, and like for the gold medal from Nakib, it's really give a boost, a mental support for us to push it more harder in the grand final, and hopefully we could grab the gold medal for the finals.
Well, of course, congratulations to you once again, Taj Aiman. We'll let you go and celebrate with your team and let you rest up for the grand final. We'll see you later.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that rounds off semi-final B. And now we have your top 10 for the grand final. So we are going to take a small break and then we will return for the grand final very soon. So stay tuned, everyone. It's going to be a great one.
Subject of availability may be denied.
Mic check. Mic check. It's not good. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Big, big. Guys, I can't hear them.
Check, check. Testing. Testing. Check. 1, 2. Check, check. Testing 1, 2. All right, ladies and gentlemen. As the YouTube comments say, I am loud and clear. Thank you very much for that insight. Welcome back to the live stream of the Asia Pacific Motorsport Championship 2025 here in Sri Lanka. You join us here once again on iRacing at the beautiful circuit Okayama. And of course, we have the live stream showing on YouTube. We see people reacting in the comments and, of course, cheering on their country. It is going to be one close finish here for the finals. So you join us here for the finals. Let me read out the competitors here in the final for you. We have Sota Muto from Japan. We have Park Ho Wong from Hong Kong. We have Marcus Watson from Australia. We have Amirul Naim from Brunei. We have Dmitry Kofanov from Kyrgyzstan. And from Group B, we have Taj Aiman, Malaysia. Nabil Aslan, Malaysia. Dick Ng from Hong Kong, China, who has been promoted to P3. Russell Reyes in P4 from the Philippines. And Jerick Ko rounds off from Singapore. And of course, we have some information about the very interesting drivers from the Malaysian ASN, of course. That is Taj Aiman and Nabil Aslan. Of course, Taj Aiman, a four-time Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Malaysia champion, as well as the 2024 Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup Asia champion, and who has represented Malaysia as well as the region at the World Finals, the TGR GT Cup World Finals, and has finished sixth in the world. This being his very first APAC Motorsport Championship, as well as his second time on iRacing, who recently made the transition from from the virtual to the real world, as well as competing in the Malaysian Speed Festival and the Toyota Gazoo Racing Malaysia Vios Challenge. Not to forget, of course, Nabil Aslan, the brother of Nakib Aslan, who won AC's gold medal yesterday. Currently leading the Pro Class Championship in the TGR Malaysia e-Racing Championship, and who also competed in the 2024 FIA Motorsport Games in Valencia on iRacing as well. Named 2024 eMotorsports Competitor of the Year as well by the Motorsports Association of Malaysia. Fun fact for the viewers, both Nabil Aslan and Nakib Aslan will leave Sri Lanka tonight actually to be testing a Porsche Cup car in Sepang tomorrow. But of course, these two drivers being the absolute wildcards here today in the grand final to take down the likes of Sato. My apologies there. I think I went off there for a brief second. But yes, to take down Sota Muto from the Group A race. And of course, Paco Wong to follow around from Hong Kong as we wait for the team to set up and get this race underway. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems as if we've had a track change, of course, and that is to the Circuit de Le Denon.
Qui suivent. Clairement, ça monte, ça monte, ça monte. Il y a même une déclivité
And
jusqu'à
of course,
15%. Autant dire
as an
qu'ils font
inside
mieux
joke
de
to
pas
all
stopper leur
Sri
ZPL.
Lankan
Sinon,
fans
ça risque
tuning
d'être
in,
compliqué dans la ligne droite suivante.
I'm pretty sure this track sounds very familiar to those listening in and tuning in to the stream right now. But we have our team there on the grid, of course, Savi Ratnayaka, the man handling this all behind the scenes, as well as Angelo Senaratna, our race director for today, as we wait for the practice session to get underway.
Le merchandising est bien en place tout autour du circuit. Vous trouverez tout ce que vous voudrez, des casquettes, des t-shirts, des kawaii si jamais il devait pleuvoir. Vous avez tout ce qu'il faut. N'hésitez pas à aller voir toutes les boutiques. Nous voudrions vous remercier toutes et tous d'assister à ces courses organisées par iRacing. Sans iRacing, évidemment, tout cela ne serait pas possible. Et donc, la prochaine fois que vous voudrez vous rendre sur un simulateur, n'hésitez pas, considérez iRacing. Ça fait partie actuellement des meilleures expériences à vivre. Les pilotes sont terriblement motivés pour la course d'aujourd'hui. Attention donc au moment d'aborder le premier virage. Oui, parce qu'il risque de ne pas y avoir de la place pour tout le monde.
And of course, as we begin the practice for the grand finals, we see movement in the pits in the form of the Hong Kong driver Dick Ng there, leaving the pits to learn the Circuit de Le Denon. And of course, this track has a very technical shape, as you can see in the top right corner of your screens there, ladies and gentlemen. A very undulating track, as you can see here, with lots of downhills going into uphills, followed by way more technical sections later on in the lap. But of course, this is going to test the true drivers. We see a little bit of a lockup there from Dick there, but I'm sure that was just to check and test the limits of the car and to try and perfect the lap. So, you join us for the grand finals here in the APMC iRacing division, where all 10 drivers, the top 5 being from each of the groups, A and B respectively, challenge for the overall win and their medals in the APMC. As you move on through practice, we can see Sota Muto, who has set the current banker lap of a 119.834, and Dick Eng follows up with a 120.4. Now, where the other drivers stack up, that will be left to seen. And of course, we can see the two Hong Kong drivers there of Dick Eng, and of course, if I can just get the entry list up here. Yes, that is Park Ho Wong, his fellow compatriot there, lining up to try and take the glory with him. Maybe yes, for P1, or bring it home in Hong Kong P1 and P2. Unlike Navara, this track is way more technical, resulting in all the drivers they make. Of course, as we see here, a little bit of racing action along the inside. It is easy to make moves, but it takes very The amazing uphill run down the start-finish straight to cross the line of 1 minute 21.2. And Marcus Watson comes in with a 1 minute 20.9. Of course, Andy's been the definite time division drivers. They play the greatest place possible. Okay, apologies for that. Over down there in Sri Lanka, it appears I'm having some mic difficulties. I hope I'm loud and clear right now. Okay. See some people there in the comments saying that the name change is requested for this live stream, but do not worry, it is very much the finals, and we will be working on that. There we go. The fourth wall has in fact updated the stream. So if you'd like to see the finals instead of the semi-finals, just refresh the stream. You get it right there. Oh, we have practice contact and a car has taken off. That appears to be Jericho and Dick and one of the Hong Kong drivers. There is takeoff, ladies and gentlemen. We have action already in the practice, and that just goes to show that unlike Assetto Corsa and closed wheel GT racing, these cars, there's a lot to go wrong here, and one tiny mistake could send you quite literally flying into the barrier. Russell Reyes, the Filipino driver there, setting a 1 minute 20.3. If the fourth wall could kindly switch back to the iRacing format. It's okay, our man down there, Savi Ratnayaka, being our cameraman and the man behind the scenes helping me and the rest of the team work around the distance of me being in Belarus to commentate on a Sri Lankan event. All thanks to him and the team down there for setting up our proud sponsor rigs, Next Level Racing. Of course, Shama Computers as well for providing the PCs to make this event a reality, to make the races a local area network race for all the drivers here, to make sure there's no lag whatsoever, and to ensure close racing throughout with no hiccups in the middle at all. So, to give you a brief update on the ASNs we have racing here in the grand final, we have Sota Muto from Japan, Nabil Aslan and Taj Aiman from Malaysia, Pato Wong and Dick Ing from Hong Kong. We have Marcus Watson from Australia, Russell Reyes from Philippines, Jericho from Singapore, and Dmitry Kofanov from Kyrgyzstan. And as I've just been updated, we will be proceeding to qualifying in a minute. So for all drivers, I'm sure this is the final minute. They can gain any knowledge they need about the track and settle in for the long race ahead here at Circuit de la Denon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time, one last time. It's qualifying time here at the grand finals of iRacing division of APMC. We ride on board with one of the drivers. Let's see which one iRacing picks. We have picked the Hong Kong driver, Paco Wong. And just take a look at the circuit difference, the elevation difference here at this track. Uphills, downhills, mini long straights into sharp left-handers to set up for the next technical section of the track. So, ladies and gentlemen, this track is very demanding in terms of focus and precision, because one slight mishap could spell the difference between a pole position and a spin out. Here's hoping all the drivers here have gained all the knowledge they need to tackle on the circuit day Lebanon here in iRacing, in the F4 cars, as we see the rear end stepping out there for Paco Wong there. Going down into the long, fast downhill section to a little right to a sharp left, and then it's the uphill run to the main straight. So here we go, we're starting the first lap of qualifying with Paco Wong. And the lap has begun. We start with a slight into the left, obviously flat out. Slight lift off there into another left, and of course that's the danger. You could go wide and compromise your whole lap time. We'll have to wait and see where Paco stood on that. But it's a downhill braking into a long right-hander that opens up uphill into a mini straight, and then, like Thiago said last time, a shallow hairpin, if you will, where understeer is very evident for Paco Wong there, into another left king. And now it's all downhill from here, literally, as we go into a sharp right-hander and another braking zone into another uphill section. But Paco Wong keeping it very clean into another left-hander, and then another shallow hairpin. Here the line is very crucial, as we have another right king going into the final downhill sector of the lap. A fast left king into a braking zone of a tiny right and a sharp left into the very characteristic strong uphill main straight. And where is Paco Wong gonna sit here for a lap of the Lebanon circuit? Tighter line to the line. Where is he gonna come to? It's Nabil Aslan actually in P1 with a 1 minute 19.7, and Russell Reyes coming back strong with a P2 with a 1 minute 19.8. Marcus Watson with a 1 minute 19.9, and Paco Wong, the man we were on board with, set a 1 minute 20.1, followed by Jericho with a 1 minute 20.2. And here we go, we're following the other Malaysian driver of Taj Aiman. Where is he gonna go? A very tight line to the finish line. Where is he gonna register? That's P4 for Taj Aiman with a 1 minute 19.9. And Dimitri Kopanov with a 1 minute 20.5. We're following Mota Suto from Japan. Apologies, he's crossed the line. Where is he gonna stand? It doesn't register. That means Mota Suto has had an invalidated lap, and he's gonna try and give it everything he's got for another round. Of course, if the drivers can make it to the line, this is gonna be the all risk lap time. If they've set their banker, they're gonna go for a risk. And we see a little power slide there for the Malaysian driver. Where is he gonna stand? This is Nabil Aslan. He's gonna go for another lap. And Paco Wong going for another lap. Where are they gonna stand? Nabil Aslan, 1 minute 19.6. Paco Wong, I don't think he improves. And yes, I don't think he improves. Amirul Naim setting a 1 minute 21.3 here. The driver from Brunei. Coming along the line, we have the other Hong Kong driver of Dick Eng setting a 1 minute 20.4, gaining P7. As we can see, all the drivers, nearly all the drivers, we're missing one driver. One driver hasn't set his time yet, and as the seconds tick down into the final 10 seconds of this session, and I think that is the session done. There you go. you have your driver lineup of Nabil Aslan from Malaysia in P1 with a 1 minute 19.6, followed by Sota Muto from P2, followed by Russell Reyes in P3. Sota Muto, the winner from the Group A division, and Nabil Aslan, the comeback kid from P2. Oh, finished P2, my apologies. He finished P2 last race, and we've seen his determination on how he climbed all those positions to get to where they are right now. So as the cars line up for the start, let's see where each of the drivers go. We're on board Nabil Aslan for the race start. Ladies and gentlemen, as we wait for the green flag, you can barely see the cars over the hill, but that is the characteristic of this circuit. Nabil Aslan in P1, Sota Muto P2, and Russell Reyes P3, Marcus Watson P4, Taj Ayman P5, and Paco Wong P6, followed by Jericho, Dick Ing, Dmitry Kofanov, and Amirul Naim.
Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles, Messieurs, bienvenue sur le circuit de l'Édenon où la lutte promet une fois encore d'être intense. On a clairement encore une fois aujourd'hui un beau plateau avec les meilleurs pilotes de la discipline qui vont s'affronter pour décrocher l'une des places sur le podium et ces places seront chères.
Nabil Aslan shining. Pause, bringing the engines away. We're waiting for the green flag. Green, green, green. Sota Muto in P2, followed by Russell Reyes in P2. And here we go. The grand final is officially underway. 20 minutes of racing. Nabil Aslan leads the way. Sota Muto takes P2 and Russell Reyes P3. Marcus Watson in P4. Marcus getting extremely close to Russell Reyes. We saw Russell holding a strong race up until the very end of the previous one. So, will he be able to retain that P3 and take the bronze medal for the Philippines? Oh, and there's a mistake. There's a big slide. Big contact there. And that's Dick Ing, the Hong Kong driver, who has had a great mistake there. I think that was oversteer. And unfortunate for that driver, as the rest of the grid goes up the hill. We're on board Russell Reyes, and I think Marcus Watson sized the move up on Russell Reyes here. That's Paco Wong, who has gone up to P4, and Marcus Watson has dropped to P5. Like you said earlier in practice, this track is very technical, so one slight mistake could cost you seconds. We're seeing absolute surgical driving here from the top 5, all managing to stay very close to each other. But that's the beauty of it, like we saw in AC. Take the fastest drivers from Groups A and Group B, and the result is you get this incredibly close race. You see P1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, all very close to each other. As you see, Nabil Aslan looking a bit dicey there on the uphill run, but manages to keep his composure from the ever-threatening Japanese driver Sota Muto behind him. Nabil Aslan, having represented Malaysia in the 2024 the 2024 motorsport games as well. We can see his iRacing experience come out here as he's not cracking under pressure to Sota Muto, who is getting insanely close there with a 10th of a difference between each other. Sota Muto having set the fastest lap of the race so far, showing that he is indeed faster, but the dirty air is catching Sota off guard. around. But Sota says he will keep his composure. Nabil Aslan going defensive, forced to take a tighter line with Sota getting the standard racing line there. I'm sure that is going to be played in Sota's advantage here. Is Sota holding off for Nabil Aslan to make a mistake? It seems as if Nabil is keeping his calm here. And Russell Reyes just enjoying the competition, sitting in P3. I think ensuring to make a move if one of the drivers makes a mistake in front. But it doesn't seem to be the case because Nabil is holding his own there against Sota Muto, chasing him for P2. And now, ladies and gentlemen, with around 16 minutes to go in the race, we can see that there is a little bit of pressure. Nabil Aslan is forcing Sota Muto defensive, but Sota is keeping his wheel in there. And it is side by side down the main straight. Who's going to come out on top? It's Sota and Nabil side by side. Sota and Nabil still side by side. Going into the sharp left-hander. What racing this is, ladies and gentlemen. Going into the downhill side by side. Russell is wondering what is going on here as Russell gets incredibly close and there's a lockup. But nearly clouded the back end of Sota there. Incredible racing as Sota goes for another look around the outside, but this time he's locked up, and Russell Reyes has made a move on Sota Muto, who has lost it very dearly there, riding on board Paco Wong now. You see the action between Sota and Russell as Sota is still keeping his wheels in there. Amazing kamikaze dive bomb from the Japanese driver there. It is an amazing show of race here, ladies and gentlemen. Sota Muto reclaims P2 there as he is left to charge after Nabil Aslan right now. And Russell Reyes still hungry for that P2 as we saw an amazing challenge right there. But Nabil Aslan seems to have got clean air now thanks to Russell Reyes challenging Sota Muto, allowing him to run away with the race. But is Sota going to let that slide? Here comes Paco Wong now on Russell Reyes. Russell's challenge, you can see him going a little dicey there on the braking into turn 1 and turn 2. But Paco Wong still managing to keep it in there, followed by Marcus Watson and Taj Aimon. This is brilliant racing, ladies and gentlemen. What more can you expect from the grand final of the iRacing division of the APMC? Of course, Sota Muto still aiming to charge after Nabil Aslan and take gold medal for Japan here. But Nabil Aslan's holding it, and it seems as if it's going to be an Aslan clean sweep here in the eSports Championship as Naqib Aslan took gold in the AC division. Nabil Aslan is aiming to claim gold in the iRacing division. But only one man stands in the way as of right now, and it's Sota Muto, who has a slight lockup, if I was not mistaken. And Russell Reyes falling behind ever so slightly. But Paco Wong brings up the rear in P4, and Marcus Watson very close to Paco's gearbox as well. You can see a small change the Group B division. You can see Marcus Watson getting ever so close to Paco Wong there. Is he going to make a move there? Obsession mistake from Paco Wong, just as Paco did to Marcus back in Group A as Paco goes wide. Is Marcus going to capitalize on this? I'm sure he will. True poetic justice being seen here as Marcus was pressured by Paco, and now Paco was pressured by Marcus Watson. Taj Aimon bringing up the rear of Marcus Watson as well, aiming to try and close up the gap to the front of Sota Muto and Nabil Aslan, of course, followed by Russell Reyes and Paco Wong. 12.5 minutes to go in the race, and ladies and gentlemen, we have a distinct difference and separation between P6 and P7 now. Nearly 3 seconds. Dimitri Kofanov in P7, Amirul Naim, the driver from Brunei, in P8, Jerick Ko, the Singaporean, in P9, and Dick Ng, unfortunately having fun in this very section of the track. The Hong Kong driver left it to Paco Wong now to bring it back for Team Hong Kong, of course. And now, as we see Sota Muto getting ever so close to Nabil Aslan, by mistake. Nabil Aslan having forced to block Sota Muto once again. It's deja vu for Sota Muto and Nabil Aslan as they look sort of going wide this time, forcing Nabil to the inside. And Sota is aiming to get past Nabil Aslan. Are we going to see another dive bomb from the Japanese driver on the Malaysian? As we see a look to the outside. Was there a way to avoid the track? But no! He swings it on the outside, and there's slight contact between two drivers. They're keeping it side by side. Nabil Aslan not giving up this position, but Sota is not letting him take it back from him as well. And Sota Muto takes P1 from Nabil Aslan, the Japanese driver. Sends it round the outside of the Malaysian driver and reclaims P1. Now Sota left to defend the P1 for the next 11 minutes, followed by Nabil Aslan, a man who is hungry for that P1, as we saw in the previous race where he fought his way up to P2, beating Russell Reyes, of course. He's going to bring that back here at this very technical track. This is amazing racing, folks. But of course, we have Russell Reyes still in P3, who's aiming to try and get that gold medal. He is just counting on a mistake from one of these two drivers. But as it stands, these two drivers are absolutely sending it on each other, maintaining this wonderful battle for P2 here at Lebanon Circuit in iRacing. Of course, Sota Muto still has a long way to go, nearly 10.5 minutes to go in this race. But the likes of Nabil Aslan, a man who has had a serious comeback the previous race, and the Japanese driver maintain his composure and go all the way to the end. Russell Reyes still in P3, followed by Paco Wong in P4, and Marcus Watson still in a net P5, followed by Taj Aiman, the other ASN Malaysian driver, in P6. As we see a little battle here against Russell Reyes and Paco Wong. Is there going to be a change for the podium? Russell keeps the P3, of course, from Paco Wong, but how much longer? As you see these two drivers causing this thing, causing an eventual drop-off from the top two runners. Is this costing Paco Wong and Russell Reyes the overall win here for the iRacing division? Russell Reyes under threat from the Hong Kong driver of Paco Wong, and Marcus Watson still very much in this fight. Don't count him out, as well as Taj Aiman. The Malaysian ASN, of course, still in the fight for the P3. All it takes is one mistake, and here comes Paco Wong on Russell Reyes down the main straight. He dips to the outside, and Russell holds the inside. Russell goes along the inside, but of course he's going to be compromised for the next few corners. Paco Wong still holding the outside. Is he going to make a move on the inside? No, he will not. Russell Reyes will hold on to that P3, and Paco Wong literally on the gearbox. Are we going to see a Sota Muto move here by Paco Wong on Russell Reyes? Russell capitalizes on that and defends it. He is a mobile chicane right now. The Filipino driver not letting the Hong Kong driver through. This is amazing racing as Paco Wong looks for another move on the inside as both the drivers go wide, and here comes Marcus Watson on Paco Wong. It is very close between these drivers. Like I said, one mistake and it's all on its head. Russell Reyes still holding, and the drivers slot back into their grid positions as Marcus Watson had a tiny look on the inside, but Paco Wong sealed it off and did not allow the Australian to make the move there. The man from New Zealand representing the Australian ASN here. I'm sure he'll be wanting to do the ASN proud. He's aiming for that P3, that bronze medal coming to Sri Lanka. And of course, here is the battle again down the main straight. Paco Wong and Russell Reyes separated by a mere 2 tenths. Is there going to be another move here? Are they going to get desperate? Are they going to send it? Well, only one way to find out. Here they come down the main straight once again. And that's Russell Reyes still in the lead. Paco Wong still behind him. And they are all so close, this battle for P3. A little train going through this section. Russell Reyes a little wide, and here comes Paco Wong cutting to the inside this time. Yeah, making contact. But of course, very close racing here between the Filipino driver and the Hong Kong driver. And there goes Paco Wong a little wide. So does Taj Aiman as well. Russell Reyes still maintaining P3. This beautiful downhill shot of the camera. There's the drivers swing by the cameras. Wonderful camera work there from, of course, iRacing to make the racing a spectacle as grand as it is in real life in F4 cars. Here goes Marcus Watson looking at a little move on Paco Wong there. can see just how desperate these drivers are to try and claw back that win. With 7 minutes to go in this race, it's still anybody's fight for P3. The fight between Nabil Aslan and Sota Moto is still going strong at the front, but of course, I think less than a second of 9/10 away. Russell Reyes breaking the toe, but here comes Marcus Watson on Paco Wong. Swings it round the outside, and Taj Imon is sitting back, of course, probably thinking that there could be a move if one of them makes a mistake. Marcus Watson still on the outside of Paco Wong here as Russell Reyes sails away. Marcus Watson. Side by side battles here, this track. Sort of for a P5, but now that Imon has got severely compromised, and there's your mistake, ladies and gentlemen. Marcus Watson is no longer in the running for the P4 fight, and Taj Imon mainly pressurized Marcus Watson into that mistake, and he says, thank you very much, I will take that P5, let me do the rest of it. And now the battle for P3 is between Russell Reyes, Paco Wong and Taj Imon, who capitalized on the Australian's mistake there, unfortunately for him. Marcus Watson with a mistake that cost him quite literally the third place medal, unfortunately for him. But now he's facing the likes of Dmitry Kofanov, the Kyrgyzstan ASN here, to battle for P6. Now we ride on board Paco Wong, who sets his sights once again on Russell Reyes. Now with Taj Imon, the winner from the previous race, who is by no means anything to look out for. He is a threat to Paco Wong right now as he charges Russell Reyes for that P3 bronze medal. As you see, a move on Marcus Watson by Dmitry Kopanov. The Kyrgyzstan driver absolutely sails around Marcus Watson and claimed P6. And Marcus Watson, I think, has overheated his tires, unfortunately, or sustained some damage from somewhere in the track, or may put some gravel onto the track. Who knows? But that cost him P6 as well. Marcus Watson, unfortunately, falls down the timing ladder and the overall positions here. Focusing once again on Paco Wong, the Hong Kong driver. Chasing after Russell Reyes, the Filipino driver, followed by Taj Imon, and there's a spin by Dmitry Kopanov. Unfortunately, he's done a mistake, and Marcus Watson will reclaim P6. It's all going topsy-turvy here at Circuit de Denon in iRacing division of the APMC F4. This is nothing like what we saw yesterday, folks. This is more challenging. I'm losing my own words as I'm commentating this event because it is so high octane. It is insane the level these drivers are going to win medals for their own ASN. Of course, we see the battle for P3 going strong between Russell Reyes and Paco Wong, followed by Taj Imon, who is looking very close to Paco Wong, of course, in P4. If we look to the timing sheets, ladies and gentlemen, to your left and the map on your right, we see Sota Moto has pulled quite the captain Nabil Aslan. And followed by Russell Reyes and Paco Wong and Taj Imon in P5, P4 and P3. Battle still going strong, of course. Now the nearly final 2 minutes of this race. It's all to play for now. Tire wear, tire flat spotting, overheating, dirty air, the marbles on the outside line of the racetrack. It's all come down to this. All these factors coupled on with the fact that the track has progressed. We can see that the rubber line has formed on the track, giving these drivers more grip. Are they going to be brave and send the move around the track, where there are marbles. Are they going to send a move in the final few minutes of this track? Who knows what's going to happen here as we see the battle for P3 still going strong between Paco Wong, Russell Reyes and Taj Ayman. We see Sota Muto start the final lap of the race here, and we see the gap he's built to Nabil Aslan, as well as the gap that Nabil Aslan has built to Russell Reyes, a near 5-second gap. And the fight for P3 still going strong pretty much between Russell Reyes, Paco Wong and Taj Ayman, all separated nearly within 4 to 3 tenths of within each other. But Sota Muto shown absolute determination and grit, carrying absolute perseverance and determination throughout this entire race, building an insane gap to Nabil Aslan. However, Russell Reyes, Paco Wong and Taj Ayman still battle away to try and claim third place. Is this where we're going to see a little bit of a move, a little bit of a send, a little bit of a dive bomb? Who knows what's going to happen as we see Nabil Aslan drive by, and here comes Russell Reyes and the fight for P3. None of the drivers seem to make a move, but we see the uphill climb, and we see Paco Wong dip his nose a little bit to the right. Still not close enough, but here goes Paco Wong, aiming to try and get Russell Reyes to make a slip up. And we see the man who has dominated this race in the latter half of the race, Sota Muto, the Japanese driver, will take first place here at the iRacing F4 division and will come home to win the race, followed by Nabil Aslan and the battle for P3. A win by Russell Reyes from Philippines. A well-fought battle between Paco Wong and Taj Ayman, of course. But there is your podium, people. Sota Muto, the Japanese driver, will take P1 and the gold medal, followed by Nabil Aslan, the Malaysian driver, will take the silver medal, and Russell Reyes, the man who had a bit of a shoddy race start last race, has redeemed himself with a P3 overall in the grand final of the F4 division of the APMC. Bronze medal for the Philippines in the form of Russell Reyes. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we still have our post-race interview of the race winner himself, the Japanese driver, Sota Muto. So stay tuned. Yes, we are ready.
Alright, so Domo is here with us. Congratulations.
Sota Muto, the man from Japan. Congratulations.
Alright, he's here.
Thank you. Great race. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, can.
Hi. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. My apologies. Congratulations, Sota. You have won the gold medal in the APMC division. How does it feel?
Yeah, very happy. So happy.
How was that fight between Nabil Aslan and you towards the latter half of the race? What was going through your head when you had to fight him?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I made a big mistake in qualify. So I started from second position. The race is long for Formula 4. So I try to save my tires. Then to try to find a chance, and then yeah, luckily I had some chance to get my job. So yeah.
All right, and one last question before you go. You've won the gold medal for Japan. How does it feel to carry your country to the victory here in the esports race?
Yes, it's my first start. Yeah, it's my third time to represent of Japan. But this time, my first win, the kind of national race. So very happy and I'm proud of the, all of my Japanese fans and supporters and my sponsors. Yeah, thank you very much.
Of course, congratulations once again, Sota. We will let you go and celebrate with your team. Congratulations once again for the gold medal.
Thank you very much.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What a finale we've had here in the Esports Cup of the APMC in Sri Lanka at the SRKCB, the Sri Lankan Karting